the original Nintendo versus this Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. I mean,
ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my living room. Today I have a very special episode in store for you, one in which I'm fully aware of the fact is going to cause some controversy within the pony stables. To help me get to the bottom of this spicy little topic, I have enlisted in the help of my good friend and avid Mustang lover, Mr. Josh Kennedy. Josh is a longtime Mustang fanatic and has owned some of the most beautiful Mustangs to ever grace the streets, one of which almost graced the cover of Muscle Mustangs and Fast Fords, but more to come on that story later. With Josh being the seasoned vet that he is, I thought, who better to bring on and help me hash out the question plaguing almost every Mustang lover's mind, which is, what's the better Stang, the Fox or the S550? Okay, so welcome, Josh. Thanks for joining me, buddy. How I was going to start this off is just get you to give us a quick kind of introduction to yourself with respect to the Mustang community, how long you've been part of it, and tell us what you like about Stangs.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate it. I can think of Mustang. It's been in my blood since I was a kid. My dad's had them. He started building cars back in the 90s. That was just something I've always. Now my parents were divorced, but I've got a good relationship with my dad. So he lives in Orlando. I live in West Virginia. So that was kind of the way we shared. A long distance relationship was through the cars. Pictures and just the passion of sharing his stories and his builds. So Muscle Mustang and Fast Fords. I took it to school with me every day and read it on break. And we've always been a fan of the cars. So when I turned 16, I was determined I got to have one. Yeah. So my parents were like, you want a Mustang, sell the dirt bikes, and whatever you get out of the dirt bikes will match. Cause that was my first passion before cars was always dirt bikes and motorcycles. So
okay.
I bought, an 87 GT for my first car. It was a white, gray cloth 87 GT, red pinstripe, turbine wheels. I think it had 150 some thousand miles on it when I bought the car. And it was one of those, bought it off a little old lady down the street kind of deals. I mean, her husband used to drive it back and forth from California, hauling cars.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, it was for the miles, it was pristine. I mean, it was nice. I picked it up for $3,800 and drove it through high school. And that's what got me into it. The first car was a Fox, and from there just transitioned, had a 98 GT, and then bought another Foxbody, had a 93 Reef GT. And then from there, just kind of always back and forth, going for what I thought was always the bigger, better thing, the next new car, because I could afford them really until I got out of college, couldn't afford to go through and get some other cars. But yeah, that's where the passion started back in, middle school, high school, once in your blood, always in your blood. So
it's true. Hey, it's like drug habit or Foxbody Mustangs. Which one should I go for?
I don't know which one's probably drugs is probably cheaper.
It's
maybe. True. But I think you're better off going with the Mustang habit. They got better resale than drug habit.
True.
Little less. I don't know if they got less jail time. It all depends on how well you can behave yourself.
Remind me, your dad's got a pretty sweet Saline, doesn't he?
Yeah. So my stepfather has a 03 Saline, white on white convertible, white with the white wheels. Really nice car. But my father still has a Mustang. He's got an 03 Sonic Blue Cobra convertible. So, he's had some nice Mustangs over the years. But he had a 96 GT and Muscle Mustang and Fast Fords. It was a convertible. It was one of the first Vortex supercharged 4.6 cars. I can't remember who built that car back then. LaMotta helped with it, LaMotta Performance. But so I was thinking there were some other people that were involved with that car. It was one of the first set of wheels that Perner cut for the CCWs was built off that car. So CCW Classics were built off my dad's car, and he's always been in. I actually went down to Daytona and watched him cut the wheels. So it was pretty kidding. But yeah, so he had several Mustangs through the years.
Okay, and then you're obviously sitting behind or in front of them right now. So maybe you got to give us a little bit of a snapshot story too on how the green one came into existence, because it involved dumping a pretty special car too.
Yeah, that was a painful decision. I owned that teal car once before. I bought it in 2014, completely stocked, 12,000 miles. I mean, we're talking completely stock. I had to Kmart up a little bit with a set of Flowmasters, and then I sold it. So I think I put 200 miles on that car in 2 years. It was so nice. I really didn't realize how nice the car was until I bought it and then sold it. And then I was like, I want a red one. I got to have a red Cobra. It was a long journey trying to find the red car. Brought it home, did everything to it I've always wanted to do to a car. Started with the exhaust, then went to gears and a cam and then a blower and suspension, and kind of went through it all, and ended up getting an opportunity to buy the teal car back. And now it's a completely different animal than what it was. I enjoy driving it more. Having 293 Cobras was awesome, but my wife didn't really like she doesn't have the same appreciation for a Foxbody. So she was like, hey, why don't we get one of them and buy something else? And I had the 350 before, and it just worked out well to move the other 93, keep the one that I enjoy driving the most, and throw something else back in the mix. So that red Cobra black cloth, it still hurts. It'll probably always hurt to get rid of that one, but it just having a little bit of change of scenery, a little different pace. But I'm trying to find a way to bring another Foxbody back into the house. So fix it up a little.
That's right. Well, and now the teal one, I mean, the teal's got a whole bunch of special stories to it. One of which I know is the real long version. We might have to do a special episode on that itself and how you got it back again, because that story is wild. But that car, I mean, it's copied. I know a fella in Vancouver that has the red copy of that car with a Coyote in it. You've probably seen it.
Right, there. Does Donkey fix it? Yeah. I wish I knew his real name. I messaged him a lot back and forth on Instagram. But I never had to get the heart to ask him. But he's real nice. Actually, I came that close. I mean, almost buying that car before he did. I was going to sell my red one and pick it up. And my wife's like, why would you have two cars with the same wheels? And I was like, because one's a Coyote, the other one's not. And she's like, I don't feel like you're going to get your money back. And I had, the guy had it priced what I thought was well for what it was. And close to bringing it home. I talked to him several times before he even put it on the market. And when, what's his name, picked it up, I was like, oh man, I said, how is it? And he said, it's every bit of worth what I paid for it and more. And I was like, I knew it would be. I shouldn't have slept on it, but
agreed. Yeah. And then I mentioned in my intro about the Muscle Mustangs Fast Forward that the teal was almost in.
Right. Yeah. So
every guy's dream, right?
Yeah. I mean, so close. I mean, we were going to do a shoot of both cars. Really, they wanted the red one and the teal one together, and we couldn't time it out. So then it was like off to Mustang Week. We'll do the shoot Mustang Week. We'll just do the teal car, and Mustang Week got canceled, as it's been for the last it seems like 2 years or so. Once again, hurricane knocked out Mustang Week, so we did a shoot there in the Charlotte area because that's where I was staying at the time, and thought we were home free, and canceled the magazine. So
pictures taken, article written, you're done. So you're there.
Yeah, it didn't end up going into Muscle Mustang. It ended up going into Hot Rod Magazine, but it did their online article. I think it hit December 31st. So pretty close to Muscle Mustang. Harris Lue's the one who shot the car. A lot of people know Lucrative Harris Lue. He did a great job, real nice guy to work with. And he was, I think, as heartbroken as I was, because he wanted to get into that magazine with the car. So really close, but still a cool experience.
Totally. I mean, it's everyone's dream. Like, going back to your story about dragging the mags to school and everything else, like we all wore the pages out in there, probably more than Playboys. And
absolutely. Yeah.
Kate, and I knew this was going to go long because you and I love these bloody cars so much. Yip yapping about them, but we should get into the comparison of the two. So this is, I think, what everybody's joined us for. So what I thought I'd do, I'll start out with a quick little story because I've driven a 17, which, right kind of in the wheelhouse of the S550 world. And I thought I'd kind of give you my take on what that car was like, right?
Right.
So got a good buddy at a Ford dealership when we used to live in Alberta, and just happened to be passing through, having a conversation with him one day. And here's this brand new red GT, right? Just came off the trailer. And he goes, "You want to take it?" Right? Here's the D plate. Had my eldest with me, so buckled her in and off we went. And first impressions of this car is like obviously everything that you're going to imagine. It's beautiful, sounds great, great ride, handles well, the whole 9 yards, right? But what's weird with it is like it's everything that you would imagine in a Ford Explorer or a F-150, and not that that's bad. It's just different than what I do when I take one of my two keys to get into my Fox and fire it up, right?
Right.
Goes like stink. Now, I'll also say it goes like stink in a different way. It goes like stink from 3,000 RPM to red, whereas my 7.3 liter Power Stroke Fox goes from idle to 6250, right? Like
the 350, it's totally different. It doesn't have anything on the bottom versus the Fox. It just comes alive at the bottom. The 350's, high revving, 8250 RPM, I think is the red line on it.
Yeah.
So 3,000 or 4,000 is really when you start to kind of wake it up. So it's really weird when you get back in the Fox and you're shutting it down, early, at 55, maybe taking to the 6. I don't push it too hard because it's an older car, but it's totally different. I mean, the Fox really, it feels really narrow for power once you do, the more modern cars with, just so much RPM range. I mean,
the way that I kind of break this down for people is I'm like, let's say hypothetically I had that red GT and my green coupe, and me and mom are going to go out for dinner, and I'm trying to decide which one to take. And for whatever reason, I get too many drinks into me after we show up to wherever we're going for dinner. Well, if I brought the keys to the red GT, I'd say, "Here, dear, you drive us home." And I would not think twice about it. If I had the Fox with me, we'd be sleeping in the parking lot. I'm like, there's no way the three of us are getting home safe if I throw the keys to you.
Yeah.
The newer cars, I found it very forgiving to drive.
Different car. They're like you said, it's a completely different animal. One is so modern and drives so nice. It just doesn't have that raw feeling that I think I missed in a Foxbody. But like you said, if my wife has to make a decision, she's not going to ride in that Fox. She doesn't like the smell. She doesn't like the sound. She's hunkered down in the seat. She doesn't want anybody seeing her. For those who experience them and like them, I think it's a love-hate thing with the Foxbody. I think they the ones that really appreciate them and love them, wouldn't part with them.
I'll say this is just kind of my feel, but when I'm out and about in the car, heck, I've had guys driving buses hang out the window and thumbs up and, almost crash the city bus just to wave at you. Like, it feels to me like you're at least 51% more people like them than hate them. But those of us that do, you're so right. I mean, just that ding when you turn the key to accessory I can hear it right now, the smell when I crack the door, the smell of just walking around and getting your face in the tailpipe.
Just the way the car feels, there's more just the sounds and the smells. Like you said, the way the door handle clicks, the ding when you get inside, the smell of the interior, the way you smell when you get out of the car usually, because I know if yours is like mine, I usually come in the house, my wife's like, "You reek." I'm like, I smell like gas. I smell like, I should smell for driving a Foxbody, I guess. But even my buddies from high school, I remember, talking to him now and saying, "I remember driving in your old Fox back in the day." And, there was just something about the smell of that car. It was just different.
I'm sure one day, fast forward 25 years, 30 years, those GT350s are definitely going to have a crazy following, right?
Yeah, probably. I would think because of the engine being so unique to that car, there's always going to be a special place for those.
Ford's come a long ways with them, right?
Yeah, magnetic ride control suspension.
Yeah.
My buddy bought a brand new GT. I had my other 350, which was a 17. We bought them at the same exact time. And just to go trade cars back and forth, it was amazing how much they felt totally different. The suspension in the 350 with the magnetic ride control, you'll go over bumps that you're like coming up on a Fox that you hit it in that thing. You're like, where was it at? Because it eats up the road. I mean, you can hit bumps that you normally would be scared to death of, and you don't even notice it, and because of the way the suspension reacts, and it's just got a different feel. I mean, it just feels so planted. The brakes are just like nothing I've experienced. I mean, my wife hates it because they're so strong, but you just get used to them being so strong, and it's just an expectation of, this is what it does. And somebody else gets in the car, and they're just like, man, these brakes just are like choking you in the seatbelt, but the brakes are great, and the power's good, but still, if I got to pick between the two to keep one, I'm going to keep the blue one.
Yeah.
Now I think it's just crazy how, everything about the cars has changed so much. I mean, things that people threw away before that was junk is now collectible for a Fox. Everybody's looking for the parts, and everybody's looking for those keys and all the memorabilia, and it's all really going up in value. It's kind of cool to see that.
I think a lot of people that probably clicked on this video are going to think to themselves, like you and I are going to go like, well, burn these and buy these, right? And the reality of it is like, that's not what we're trying to say at all. Like each is special in its own way. And, if you have an appreciation for what they're special at.
The power window is so I want to say it feels short in it because you don't have any torque down low.
Right.
It's a long RPM range in the 350, but the Fox it's I don't know, the torque down low. Is what makes it feel quick, and that's what makes it feel fun. And this thing, once you're into second gear, you're already in the ticket. You're not too far into second, third gear, you're going to jail. The Fox, I can beat some gears before I feel like I'm in trouble.
That's right.
It's got, just a short RPM range and a different ratio, and it just feels, it's kind of just fun to get out there and rip around in. That's what it is. And that's something why I've been looking to maybe getting another one, to just play around in, because I just feel like you can get out there and have a little fun in it. It's just got a different feel, I mean, I can't imagine. I'd love to experience it once, but I haven't got to yet, is a Coyote Swap Fox to have the Fox body, but with that large power band of, that, 7,000 or 8,000 RPMs that these people were taking the Coyotes now. So, some of them more than that, the built motors, but
I know one of the best videos that I've seen on the web there is that one of Caleb and Brutal, where he lets him drive his Coyote Swap.
Oh, I know. That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Dude, the look on those two guys' faces, like just priceless.
And Brutal can bang some gears. So I was dying to see him hit it, because I really was like, I wanted to see that car rip, and both of their faces, like you said, that was cool. I enjoyed it. That was a great video.
Just the thumbnail of the two of them peeled to the seat, right?
Yeah,
that's a quick car.
That car screams. That's a nice car that Caleb built. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It's getting down the track real fast too. Okay, so now building off the power side of things, I think the one attribute that, and I'll say that the Coyotes have this as well, but the unmistakable sound of a Fox. I know everybody watching it, they can already hear it in their ears, right? But now that's not to say, like, I've heard some Coyotes that are, earth shattering, like they'll stop you in your tracks to stop and listen to them. But it is, different. Yeah. Right. It's a different sound. Especially when they're getting up there in that 7,000-8,000 RPM range. I mean, Christ.
Right. Well, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I knew as a Fox or a 5.0, we didn't really call them Fox bodies back then. It was a 5.0. You could tell by the sound. I was like, dude, there goes a 5.0. You could hear it. That car sounded like nothing else on the road. I just don't think that I don't know what the F body, Camaro Firebird platforms back then. I just don't think they had that sound. And today they still, Flowmasters and that sound that those cars had, and the sound they have today is just, there's just nothing like it. I feel like Coyote's not the bang on them. Stock, they sound pretty good. With a set of mufflers, sound pretty good. But you start cutting the cats off and everything like that. Honestly, my personal preference, they get so loud and raspy.
It's that rasp. Totally.
Yeah, they lose that personality that makes them sound good. They just become too loud and tinny and raspy to me. The Voodoo engine in this one, I think it's the best sounding Mustang that Ford's ever produced, out of the box. But it's the same thing. You start modifying exhaust on this thing and it gets so loud so quick that it just doesn't sound good anymore. Foxes, they always sound good. I don't know, unless you just completely straight pipe it and jack the exhaust up on it. It doesn't seem to matter what you put on it. They're going to sound good.
And to your point about the unmistakable sound, like I think you can, it's fairly easy to confuse, and I don't want to piss anybody off by saying this, but if you had a new vet and your GT350 drag racing down the road, I think it'd be pretty difficult to tell the difference between which one was further ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Nowadays I'll hear a Challenger go by and I turn my head a little bit and I go, oh, I thought it was a Mustang. They're not as distinct as they were. I think the Challengers, sound a lot like the Mustangs now. I don't want to say too much about the Camaros and the Corvette sounding good because I still don't think they sound as good, but they do sound better. The new ones are pretty nice, but still now I rarely see a Fox, pop up, but when I hear it, I know exactly what it is. Even the power steering pump, it's got its own big sound, for those of us that know it, you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a 90s Ford power steering pump.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Well, I think we've got a bit of a verdict here, eh? I'll go out on a limb here and I'll say neither car is better. I want to say, I think what takes the cake, and I agree with you in that I'd pick the Fox over the newer S550. And the reason being is it's the feeling I get when I drive the car.
Right. Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Like when you can leave the wife and kids at home and you get that couple hours in the evening or something and you get to go out for a burn, like it never gets old.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what I do with it. It's not like if I'm going to take my wife or my daughter or, the family out for the weekend or go somewhere, we drive the 350. But if I'm going out and I got an opportunity and I've got an hour or 5 minutes by myself to go out for a drive, I'm taking the Foxbody just because. And, not to live in the past, and stuff like that, but it's the nostalgia, it's the smell, it's the feeling. It just kind of takes me away from this modern day and just takes me somewhere else. And I get that escape for a moment and I enjoy it, just the way the gears shift and the way the car sounds. And it's just something different about it. And I think, a lot of people that haven't experienced it maybe don't appreciate the same, but I think if they would, they would probably enjoy it a lot more and have more appreciation for the Fox. Now, where else can you buy a car that you can enjoy and make money on? You're going to go wrong. Everything else you buy, unless you get something special, really going to depreciate. You can buy a Foxbody and go beat the hell out of it if you want to and still make money on the car. Yeah. You're not going to go wrong with it now. Look at today's prices. Rollers, bringing $4,000 and $5,000 even for 4-cylinder cars, maybe.
Yeah.
That's just it's the prices are just going crazy on them now. For guys like us who really truly enjoy the cars and like to drive them, I almost hate to see it go up too much because then I can't take the car out and enjoy it like I used to because I'm scared of that something's going to happen. You can't replace them. You can't find parts for them. I don't know what you do for insurance, but I use insurance, for an agreed value because
Me too.
that you can't replace the car. So
that doesn't make it any cheaper to drive either,
Yeah, I was teasing my wife. We just had a recent ice storm here and the power went out and, we were running the generator and, that makes her nervous. She's always worried about it. It's like, only one thing. If I'm not home and the house catches fire, push the cars out first. Save the cars, then get the kid and the dog.
Totally right.
Yeah, but it's you can't. If something happens to this thing, oh well. I mean, it would hurt, but
they're still making them.
You can still find them. If something happens to that box, I would be devastated because you just can't find them. Can't find clean ones, and you're going to pay a fortune for it. I mean,
Okay, listen, buddy. I know that we're burning the midnight oil on your end of things here because you're 3 hours ahead of me. So we should do the final verdict, which we were kind of alluding to there. So,
well, my answer.
One is not better than the other. Okay, so we'll put everybody's heart at rest.
Absolutely.
They're both very, very special cars, and the S550 is destined to be special 20, 30 years from now for sure.
Yeah, especially, I don't know what we're looking for in 5 or 10 years. Are they going to go all-wheel drive? Are they going to go electric?
Don't even start there.
Yeah, don't say those words, but I just don't know what the future is going to bring. We're going to you go step into something different. But I had those same fears 20 years ago, thinking, oh my God, I got to get one now because next year they're going to turn it into electric all-wheel drive and it's going to ruin the car. And we managed to survive this far, but yeah, there's something different about them both, and I think you can appreciate them both for what they are. I love them both for what they are. It's kind of the best of both worlds, and everything in them kind of fills the gap.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, I think that settles it, buddy. We love them both.
Foxbody for life.
Foxbody for life, exactly. Okay, buddy. Well, thanks for coming on with me. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. It's good talking to you. Hope everything's well up there, and definitely keep up the work on the channel. It's great. I've enjoyed the videos, and
Thanks,
I think
buddy.
Obviously everybody else is too. So I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and chat some cars with you.
Yeah, no, thanks, bud. I really appreciate it. We'll get together for that beer soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you ever decide to do that tour through the U.S., you got to stop through, or I'll track you down somewhere. We'll go have that beer and hit a car show.
Darn right. Okay, thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
You too, bud.